about
He says I
not.
don't ski with my cell phone. And
That's
like,
right.
why?
Why? Right? Why is that your thing?
You do everything else with your cell phone. Why are you leaving it behind when you go possibly get snow murdered?
Greetings, my ghoulish friends, and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Scary Movie Project, the podcast where we talk about scary movies and are always ready for one more run on the slopes. I am your host, Matt, as always, and today, do you guys know about three skiers that were stranded on a chairlift? They're forced to make life or death choices, which prove more perilous than staying put and freezing to death. Folks, we're talking about a movie called Frozen. And let me be very clear, this is not Anna and Elsa from Disney's Frozen, okay? This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about 2010 Frozen from Adam Green. God, I hope you've seen this movie because I freaking love it. All right, as always with a lot of movies you guys know with me, I see someone post something about a film and I'm like, oh my God, I love that movie. I got to talk about it. So, Allison Broder from Who's There podcast is awesome. I was on her show to talk about my short film, A Werewolf in Wisconsin, months ago. She posted about Frozen, and we went back and forth on ideas and how we should do this and what show, and rambling on and on and on and so forth. Allison is here because we're going to talk about Frozen. Allison, hello, and I am very glad we're going to talk about this crazy movie with you.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk about this movie too. It was only my second time ever watching it, but
I think I saw it like right after it came out in like 2011. And I remember it was one of the first like movies I would watch on Netflix, I think, back in the day. And I had not heard anything about it. And I just was like, okay, it's a horror movie called Frozen. Dude, but halfway through this movie, I was so into it. I was so like, oh my God. All right. This movie it just totally gets to me, right? And I think it succeeds in what it's trying to do. So let's I dive right into this for lack of a better, right? So, all right, Adam Green makes this film in 2000. He shot it in the 2010, 2011 release. Anyway, three friends, okay? They're going to go skiing. You've got Dan, right? He's with his buddy Joe and his girlfriend, oh gosh, Parker. Parker's the girlfriend, right? Emma Bell. Emma Bell and Kevin Zegers that you probably recognize from stuff. So it's kind of one of these, maybe you've had this experience in your life where, your buddy or your significant other, you're bringing the third wheel friend or something, and it's kind of that awkward dynamic, right? He's bringing his girlfriend. His buddy doesn't want to kind of get left out, so they go skiing up in New England. And they don't really have any money, so they're kind of like, what? Don't they pay the one guy off in the first place to even get on the
yeah.
slopes in the first place, right? And then it's these, this Joe is like trying to meet this one woman, and he's like, numbers back and forth. It's just like these. They're like what? Probably 20, 21 years old. They're like college kids, I guess, right?
Yeah, I would think that they're like it's juniors or seniors in college.
Yeah, they're very young adults. They're like 21, 22, probably something like that. So they're skiing, whatever. They want to go on one more run, and they basically go up to the one dude running the lift, like, hey, they try to convince Parker to go basically sweet talk him and say, hey, get us one more lift, and they end up paying him. They give him they give $50, something like that. They give him
$100.
$100. Okay, wow, $100.
Hmm.
He's like, all right, I'll do it. So you think they're all good, but then there's like a shift change before the end of the day, and the dude is like, "Hey, there's three more people. Like we're gonna change shifts here." No, he's mad because like they're gonna make some schedule change with his boss. He's like, "Oh no, whatever." There's three more people up on the hill. Get them cleared. So then the audience, we see these three snowboarders, whatever, come back down the hill, but our characters are up on the lift. So you're like, oh no. So this dude who changes the timing sees them come down and assumes that's them and says,
Hmm.
okay, shut it down. You're like, oh crap, this is not going to go well. And they're up on the lift and three of them are riding it. They're sitting up on the chairlift and they're riding it. And they're a good, I don't know, 25, 50 feet up in the air on the lift. And boom, they stop it. Now, like, I've been seeing a few times. I'm not a skier, but like lifts sometimes stop because of people or whatever, and it happens. But it's like the end of the day, and they're kind of like, okay, whatever. And time goes on, and a little more time goes on. They realize, like, wait a minute, and the lights go off, and like, boom, 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 like the sound of
Yeah.
like the lights, the score, and you're like, okay, this is this is not good. They're going to be up here, and you're starting to understand, like, okay, they might get left here. And they're like, oh, it's, we'll figure this out and it's going to be okay. And then they start talking about how, and they start to kind of realize, guys, they're closed. And I don't think this is Sunday, by the way. And I don't think they open again until like Friday or Saturday. And like the panic kind of and the fear starts to like set in, right? So this is
Yeah,
where
but they're also closing early because there's a bad storm coming in.
very good call. Thank you for that. Yes, there's a
So,
good. And it is, the middle of winter in New England. New Hampshire, Maine. I don't know where we are, right? But it's not 50 degrees. It is very cold. They are dressed. You can tell it is very cold, and you're starting to wonder, like, oh my God, what is going to happen to them? Like this is. So we get through it, and the first night comes, and is this the first night where the what is the name? What do you call the dude? Somebody shows up with like not a snow plow, but like one of those snow cats. I guess to
yeah.
come like basically almost like a Zamboni for the ski resort. And he
Yeah.
comes up and drives up, and they're like, "Oh, this is fine. We're
Yeah.
good." After a couple, it probably happens that night, and they start, which I disagree with, start throwing poles and stuff down. Like, well, don't throw yourself. You might need these things. You never know. And the guy's driving the thing. He can't. You see the poles landing, but he's like turning around, or he doesn't look
Yeah.
down. Now, here you go. Here's your fun fact that I love from Adam Green. We'll mention a couple things that in this film he does. Do you know who the driver of that vehicle is?
No.
Okay, that's Kane Hodder, who plays Jason Voorhees in like 5 Friday the 13th films.
Fun.
He shows up, and he plays Victor Crowley, I believe, in Adam Green's Hatchet movies. Okay.
Oh.
So that was a fun little thing to throw in there. So that was cool for the fans. So you realize, oh my God, this guy's not going to hear him. He gets a call on the radio. Don't worry about it, whatever. Something happened. And he backs up and he leaves. And he realized he didn't see them. And they're like, oh no.
See, I disagree. I would have thrown down all of my stuff because what do you need your skis for anymore? You're stuck on a chairlift
So that's
200 feet above the ground.
totally. You're like, go all in, right? Like, go ahead and throw the get this guy's attention. You got to do whatever you possibly can, right? I think it's that kind of. I think I'm 50-50 on that, right? Like, should I do all of that? But I also am I thinking that far ahead? This is my only chance, right? Do I need to save these things, kind of thing? So yeah, Dan if you do, Dan if you don't, kind of thing, maybe. So he leaves. That's not good. But at the same time, you're like, okay, somebody showed up. Maybe this isn't the end of the world. Like, we'll figure this out. Things aren't going well, and I think panic starts to set in. So now this is
It
where
sets in far too late. As soon as the
Yeah.
thing stopped, I would have started screaming. As soon as the lights went out, I would have had a panic attack.
I am glad that you are mentioning that because that it's pretty much the same thing that would happen to me, and we'll discuss that. I wanted to talk about that at the end, obviously, but good call. I mean, yeah, you'd be screaming, you'd be yelling, right? Like you never know, each person's gonna kind of react, kind of thing. So, okay, now this is where I haven't seen the movie in a minute. Now I'm getting cloudy here. Now we're getting to the worst part. Does Dan make his move on night one, or do they go through the first night? They don't make it. He decides to bail like only a few hours into this, right?
I can't remember. I thought it was on the second night, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so we may be wrong. Anyway, either the first night or second night, they're like, okay, this, we gotta like someone's gotta jump. We Dan's kind of in this like sort of I'm in control scenario, but not really kind of thing. So no one really is. I mean, this is a panic situation.
Yeah.
So he decides, guys, like I'm gonna jump off this thing. And they're how high up do you think they are? Would you guess?
I have no idea. 100 feet, 150 feet?
It's
Yeah.
definitely not. If you were to jump, you would be seriously injured, if not die. Okay.
Yeah.
So, which leads us to him deciding he's going to jump. And Joe,
It's on the first night. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
It is first night. Okay,
Yeah.
I figured they didn't wait long. Which again, panic. I mean, immediately we have to get out of here. We have to get out of here. If they're closed for a week, we have got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So he decides I'm going to jump, and Joe's like, dude, don't do it. She's Parker, please don't do it, please. They're telling him like, don't do it. They're not just saying, oh yeah, go for it. And he says, I'll go and get help or whatever. And he kind of leans over to brace it, and he jumps. And it's probably not going to go well. And you're watching like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he lands, and he just completely destroys both of his legs. And compound fracture, they can just completely shatter. They completely shatter. He is done. He is just done. And that's bad enough. And now he's destroyed. And then, of course, well, why don't we have some wolves show up? so, so you start hearing the howls, and you're like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! This cannot be real right now." And they start circling him, and they start showing up, and I honestly, at this point, you're wondering what's worse. Is it Dan being down there or his friends being up on the lift, not being able to do anything? You're kind of wondering what is worse right now.
I think Dan had it worse.
I mean, I guess, but could you imagine sitting there and watching it and literally being able to not do anything? Like that is the helpless feeling would be like overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
Let's go back a second. The
yeah,
first one wolf comes and they kind of scream at it and scare it off. And as soon as that happened, my boyfriend who was watching it with me was like, he's going to come back with his friends now.
his buddies. Yeah, he is. He is. So that's what I wonder too. Like, is this even would wolves? I mean, really show up? I guess they say sometimes in these trails and these parts of, I guess sometimes this can happen. So it's not just some ridiculous made up story. It could potentially really happen. It's terrible and awful and oh my god, they show up and they circle him and they tear this dude to pieces.
Yeah.
And the friends watch and they're just like, it's just like, oh my god, dude, this is I can't. And you're only about a half an hour into the movie at this point. You're like, how can this possibly get any worse right now? He's dead, and so they had to spend the night there. And then they wake up in the morning, and that scene where you see it, just the shot, and it opens up from a fade to black, I think, and it's of her hand, and she fell asleep, or I don't know how you would sleep, but her hand, her with no glove, is stuck. Wakes up to the bar on the lift, and you're like, oh my god! And you hear she rips her hand off, and the skin. Oh my god! And tears the skin off her hand. You're like, dude, this is terrible. And the sun is out, and it's a nice day, thankfully.
Yeah.
But they're in big trouble, and her skin is messed up, and she scratches. Oh, don't touch it, don't touch it. It's gonna rip off, and they kind of they spend the day there, and they kind of obviously argue about why did you let this happen? He was my friend, he was my boy.
Yeah.
What you'd expect, kind of thing. They're stuck together, obviously here, and the anger and the rage, and I don't want to talk to you. And then it kind of they calm down and they kind of talk about, dating people and I wanted to marry him and whatever. I don't know what you would talk about up there. I mean, what would, what would life be up there? I don't know. So that kind of happens. And then we get to, he decides, Joe's like, okay, I'm going to try to climb this thing, the cables, right? And so there are these scenes, where he stands up on top of the chair and it's all rickety and she's trying to hold him and the crane shots are great moving. And he tries to walk a little bit in his hands, but they rip, and you see how quickly they rip right through his gloves. And we've all touched like a cable somewhere like that where you've tethered something or somewhere like an electric.
I have not. I did not know cables were like this.
Not on a cable like that, maybe, but I mean, I've definitely like moved like equipment cable and like power cables before that are seriously will rip through your skin like in a heartbeat. And
ouch.
yeah, so it happens quick. So that's like an idea of, okay, we can't do this. What are we going to do? So, night number 2 comes, they go through it again, and they wake up, and you're like, okay, we've got to get down. Like we have to do this, otherwise we're going to die. And I think they eventually seem like they go to the bathroom on each other. They have to do that, I think, at one point. And so he says, the heck with it. Like I have to go. I got to do it. And so he finally decides he's going to get up there. And he does it, and he climbs up on. It's rickety, and he starts one after the other. And you're watching it, wondering, at what point is his upper body strength? You could be in good shape, fine, but that's some serious physical shape to hold yourself up and walk yourself across something like that. People struggle to do 1 and 2 pull-ups on a pull-up bar. I mean, and
and they say that his mom had to write him a note to get him out of like doing pull-ups in high school or college gym.
I'm telling you, like this would be, but then again, so much adrenaline, your life is at stake here. It's a different story. Like you're going to do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
And he stops a couple times, and that scene is just, oh man, it's really intense. And you're hoping it's going to work for him because the wolves are going to come back, and he sees the tower. He knows he's going to get there, and he gets there, and he gets to the tower. And he's able to then climb down the rungs. He finds the poles. He finds her snowboard. Hey, I'm going to go do this. And you're thinking, okay, maybe he'll be okay. Maybe he'll come back with her. And then he takes off. And then you're kind of being in her shoes, thinking, Like, how terrified is she right now? Because her boyfriend's gone. This dude now made it down, but who knows what's going to happen to him? He may not come back. No one, who knows? You
No,
know,
well, he
right?
goes, he runs down the hill, but very soon after, the wolves follow him. So he's dead.
They sure do. So
Yeah.
that's where you're like, so she doesn't see that though, right? She doesn't know that. So
No,
she's
she
think,
does. She
oh, does
sees
she see
the
that?
she sees the wolves because they run right under her, I
Oh,
think.
okay. I didn't remember if she had
So,
seen that or not because I wouldn't because that leaves her in that spot of yes, that's awesome. If that
yeah.
happened to me, I'd be like, great, you're going to save me now, but are
Yeah.
you going to make it? I don't know, right? So that happens, obviously, and she's pretty much solo now. She's screwed, and it's real simple now. Get off this thing or die. And you see, as the days have gone on, the rigging up top is starting to come loose, right? And this is where I thought to myself something. Now, I don't know if I ever would have thought of this. Obviously, jumping is pretty much killing yourself. If you realize it's not going to work out. If you just got on the ski lift and just like, this is hindsight, if you just jumped up and down and just like beat the crap out of this thing, could you compromise the housing and get what happened to happen and just basically get this thing to fall on its own? If you were sitting in the lift and it fell, you'd probably get hurt, but you probably wouldn't get hurt like he did, would you? I don't. I'm just like thinking of ideas here, right? Because the lift does give way, and she falls a bit then, and then
Yeah.
she jumps like 10 feet,
Yeah.
but then the stupid lift falls and it lands on her leg and her ankle, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. But at this point, who gives a shit because she's just got to get out
Yeah.
of there. But could you actually like? Do you think you could actually destroy the lift enough to get it to fall on its own? Do you think you could do that?
Um, I don't know. The place seems to be not very well run since
Right.
they'll leave people on the lift and be bribed. So maybe they don't do their upkeep of their lift very well. But
Right.
the screw had started to come loose
Right.
when the guy was climbing on it to get to the ladder to go down. So with that amount of weight, with two people like kind of jiggling it, maybe. I don't know. I would hope not, but also I'll never find out because I'm not going to go on a ski.
Yeah, I like that answer. So, but that's the thing is, I'm wondering though. I mean, consider right. Obviously, we've seen what happens if you jump. That you might as well.
Yeah.
You're gonna die. So, like, yeah, just try to jump on the thing, get it to fall. I'd rather take my chances of landing on the ground on the lift. Like, pull your legs up, right? So your legs don't get
Yeah.
crushed, obviously, and land. You might break your leg, you might break your arm, but not in the way if you jumped. Like, you might be able to get out. I don't know. I mean, these are all just ideas I'm having, of course. But like I said, I'll
Ye-
never know either because it's not gonna happen to me.
Yeah. What they could have done is taken like the ski poles or the skis and like hooked them onto the bottom of the lift and then tried to like lower themselves down
I like
onto it
that.
so they would get lower.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just, I mean, the point is I mean, they got so screwed. They're too high up to jump, and they're
Yeah.
too far from one of the posts to
Yeah.
get to walk to it, to climb to it, to walk down it. So they're
They
just
may have
screwed.
they may have done better if they would have like been able to hoist themselves up to like get their shoulder around
Oh, over the top
the
and then
cable
I see what you're
instead of
saying.
having to like go like
Yep,
that.
that's a good point. 'Cause
So,
then you're resting on it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then again, would it rip through your jacket? I mean, either way, you're probably. I mean,
Yeah.
look, you're not getting out of this without a serious injury, right?
Yeah,
You're
Parker
not.
is getting a really nice settlement from that ski lodge. They might go out of business.
So that I'm glad you mentioned that because we'll talk about that in a second. So so the chair finally collapses and lands on her leg. She starts to get down. She's able to get down the mountain, and as she's going down, she sees Joe's carcass getting ripped apart by the wolf. There you go, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, not going well for these people. She gets to the bottom and she's basically crawling, and I mean, she's a mess. She's sunburned and frostbitten, and I mean, she's not having a good day. And she crawls out to the street, and it's just an icy, snowy road. One car ignores her, and then the guy in a van, Good Samaritan, stops.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God. And he gets her and puts her in the van. And then you see that last shot, and she's just like leaning her head like up against the window. And she's like mentally done.
Yeah.
She's like, the guy saying, I'll take you to the hospital. We'll get you there in about 10 minutes. And I think didn't she like kind of hear like Dan's voice in her head saying something at the end or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's it, right? That's it. Okay. So for me, I'll get into, so,
I want a sequel. What has happened to her mental
All right.
state since
So
then?
so here's your answer to your sequel. All right. So have you seen the Hatchet movies Adam Green
No,
did? No. Okay.
nope.
Now I've seen them all, but I don't remember this. But in Hatchet 2, Parker's character makes a quick cameo and she explains it's a quick epilogue to what happened. And she says how
No.
she, I guess, won the settlement or something, and she's never going skiing again. So they actually do bring that up.
Oh,
It's
nice.
very. I need to watch it again. So this movie for me put Adam Green on the map. I hadn't heard of him, and
Yeah.
so I love the Hatchet movies. I think those are great with the cameo from what's his face from Blair Witch, and I love Danielle Harris, so she's in one of them. Those movies they're just gory as hell, and they're just so they're fun. They're just fun, gory movies. So he did this, and he produces this with his RE Scope Pictures, a bigger boat productions, a spinoff on Jaws. So the cool little things he puts in this film, like he shows Kane Hodder. He talks about they're from Holliston because he's from Holliston, Massachusetts. He made a TV series called Holliston, where it's him and his buddy. They have their own like movie horror theme show with like Guar comes on it all the time, and they're like living with their two girlfriends, and they're like New England references, and it was just a fun show. Still am huge fan of Adam Green, huge fan of what he does and the stuff he made. We ever see a movie called Grace that he made?
It sounds a little familiar, but I don't think so.
Jordan Ladd is in it, who I love from Cabin Fever. She's in it, and it's about a woman giving birth, and it's kind of intense, and it's really really good. He made some great stuff. So, but Frozen, okay. At the end of this film, I was sitting like this, and I thought, oh god, I need like a minute here, dude. So, I mean, you take something. This is not about a monster. Wolves are scary, right? But it's not about. This is 100% completely possible. 100% possible. You go up on a chairlift. I mean, you could be forgotten. It is entirely possible, and you are stuck there. I can't do. I have bad claustrophobia. I can't do enclosed spaces. I'm very very bad with that. But this is wide open, but you're stuck in this seat. Like you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so they shot this in Utah, okay, and they had real wolves.
Oh, they did. My
Yes.
boyfriend was like, they must have just gotten a dog that looked like a wolf.
No, they had.
Oh, okay.
So in like the making of stuff, if you look it up, they had trainers that were dressed as, I guess, Dan with the parka, and they were doing those scenes. They did the howls. I mean, they really did this.
Oh, wow.
And they were in Utah, and they had the big crane shots that followed them around and everything. And I mean, this whole production of how they did this to me is it totally works, right? It totally
Yeah.
works. It's in this one location, and it's just what is going to happen to these people day after day. And when he falls off that lift and he breaks his legs, you're just like, do I stop watching this? Do I keep watching this? What am I going to do right now?
They're all kind of dumb.
I mean, so I don't know. I just absolutely loved it. I think it's funny to me how it's called Frozen. I have a 4-year-old niece, so I joke with her that we're going to watch my version of Frozen one of these days together. She probably would not like that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so I'm rambling. Tell me, so what are your thoughts? Tell me what you think of this film.
Oh, I love it. But like I just said, they are dumb because
Yeah, they
first
are
of all,
dumb.
why are you skiing without your cell phone? You have 97
Okay,
pockets on
great point.
yourself.
Great point. So didn't they mention something about
He says, I
not?
don't ski with my cell phone. And
That's
like,
right.
why?
Why? Right? Why is that your thing?
You do everything else with your cell phone. Why are you leaving it behind when you go possibly get snow murdered?
Now,
Like,
how much were we carrying our phones with everywhere in 2010? I mean, is that besides the point?
I
don't know.
think so.
Anyway,
I
so
don't.
your point is valid. Keep going. Yeah.
And then when they're up there, they have these big coats. Two of them, at least. One of them just has like a fleece thing with like a vest on over it, so he's fucked. But the other two have these huge parkas on, and they're not zipping them all the way up. They're
No,
not
no.
like really enclosing themselves.
Right,
So like they
right.
could have protected themselves against
She has
the
that pink
elements.
hood. Right.
Yeah. And then
Right.
like I said before, they don't react like they should. Like when the lights shut down or when the thing just stopped, my boyfriend was like, "Would you have started screaming already?" I was like, "Yeah." Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like screaming as loud as like humanly possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Right. As
I would have started trying to break the the lift immediately. I would be like, I have to get out of here. I'm not claustrophobic, but yeah, I don't want to. First mistake, going skiing. Second mistake, not bringing your cell phone. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so I've had a knee surgery before, so I can tell you that skiing is not on my ever to do list. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've already had the knee injury. I don't need another one. Skiing is a knee injury waiting to happen. Forget that. I've snowboarded because I used to skateboard when I was a kid. So, but the same kind of that's. I think they are snowboarding anyway, aren't there? Two of them, or at
Yeah,
least.
two of them are, and
Right.
then one has skis.
Okay, so that's fine. You want to go skiing, all good. But and it makes me laugh because every time I see somebody posting something somewhere or on a blog or of them skiing, all I think about is this movie.
Yeah, I skied a few times when I was a kid, and then I was in a car accident when I was 11 and
Oh,
sustained a traumatic brain injury. So they were like, if you want to ever go skiing again, you have to
don't
wear
do
a
it.
helmet. But
Yeah,
and it just wouldn't have
skiing.
been recommended. So I was
No,
like, all right, I'm done.
no, and you're not missing out on a whole lot. I mean, it's all good. You know you could go to the resort and hang out at the
Yeah, that's why I would go
hang out there,
skiing.
go eat, go drink, whatever, hang
Yeah.
out. Yeah, plenty of people do that. So, but that's your point. Like jumping on the thing. That's where I'm wondering where
Yeah.
do you start shaking this thing? That was my thing. Like, could three of them, I mean, they could eventually knock this thing off and get it to drop loose, right? Now
Yeah.
that I see it, I would think that because, yeah, your options are climb across, which may not work very well for you. Jump, which we clearly see is not going to work.
Yeah.
And also, I realized now, I mean, they're trying to be realistic as possible. I get it, whatever. But he seems to be pretty lucid after shattering both of his legs.
Yeah, that's what I was like. He would have gone into shock
I think
pretty quickly.
like, I think your body, the adrenaline takes over because of
Hmm.
like the amount of pain in you. But I don't know. I mean, hopefully they research this to make it as realistic as possible. I don't know that. But I would certainly think that if I broke both my legs in like 8 places, I would probably go unconscious
Oh,
for quite some
yeah.
time.
Yeah, definitely. But I was reading the Wikipedia and it says he fractured both of his legs, but what if they looked broken? What is the difference between a fracture and a break? Isn't it the fracture is like,
So he had compound fractures, which are
what is
when
that?
a compound fracture when the bone comes through your skin.
Okay.
That is a compound. That is the worst possible break you could have,
Yeah,
obviously.
okay.
'Cause they got to go and set it, and they got to put your bone back
Yeah.
together, and it's awful. So that's what happened to him, and in both of his legs, right? So it's like maybe he would come to at some point, but I can't imagine you'd be having conversations with people above you, like, oh, that didn't work. Oops,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So what do we do?
I would see the
But
wolves and I'd be like, come get me.
I mean, and then that was, I guess, I was asking. So, like, how do you handle? And then you're trying to get off this thing. You're already bad enough. How worse does your panic go after you watch somebody get eaten by freaking well? Like, what do you do at that point? Where does your mind go at that point? Oh my god.
I think my mind probably just goes a little numb and I probably just think like, well, I need to just start lowering myself down however possible. And I don't know, like take the skis and start lowering yourself, like hook it to something in the lift and like lower yourself down as much as possible. I don't know how much you would really have to lower yourself down to
I
not
mean,
break your legs, but
yeah, right. Because if we say they're 100 feet or so in the air, that's
yeah.
and those shots, those great crane shots, make it look perilous, right? And it
Yeah.
makes it look like they are lenses they use are they're so far up, and the shots are always from behind them, looking down and never really looking up, because so we get the kind of the depth of how how far of a fall this really would be. So, and then I love, like I said, the scene of her pulling her hand off the when it's
Yeah.
frozen. Like we've all touched a really cold piece of metal, on a
Yeah.
cold day, and it's like, could you imagine your hand resting there for like 6 hours? Or oh man, I mean,
Yeah.
I just you don't know what you would do in that situation. You just don't know until it happens to you, and you'd like to think you'd be as creative as possible, or make a chain somehow, and like one of you hangs down off the other.
Hmm.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
if
that's
you
a good
did
idea
that,
too.
one of you is only going to have a shorter drop than the other, but not the other person. So it's like I
Yeah.
don't know, but um, yeah, no skiing. So now, I mean, like, look how many things have been ruined now. Let's see. We can't go in the woods because of Blair Witch, right?
Yeah.
We can't go swimming because of Jaws.
Hmm.
Now we can't go skiing. I mean,
Yeah. Just stay inside. Stay inside and go to the movies.
don't go outside ever again, people. Ever. All right. What do we call this? Is this environment? No, it's not. It's not eco horror. What type of horror is this?
Um,
I don't know. Survival horror.
yeah.
It's
I
survival
think
horror,
that
right?
snow murder, survival horror. I
Snow
don't know.
murder. Ooh, I like snow. Okay, so good point here then. What are some other good snow horror films?
The Lodge.
I've not seen this, but
Oh my
I've,
goodness,
yeah.
you have to watch that and open the windows and make sure it's cold out and get really
Oh,
cold.
tell me about the lodge a little bit. I want to.
The Lodge is a movie about a guy who is divorcing his wife and he is taking his two kids on a weekend to a lodge in the middle of the mountains
Where
to
have I heard about
spend
this?
time with his new fiance, who is also a cult member survivor, and also one of his former patients, because he's a psychologist.
Hmm.
So,
Who's in it?
it is, I don't know. Hold on.
I know I've heard of this film. I don't know a lot about it. So have you ever
Yeah,
seen?
it is Riley Keough, who
Okay.
she's been in a couple of things. Now, Jaden Martell, who's from the It movies, he's the
Ah,
son.
okay.
Leah Ryan McHugh is the daughter. Alicia Silverstone is the ex-wife, and
Oh, she's
Richard
in it. Okay.
Armitage is the
Okay.
husband. So,
Alicia Silverstone. I just saw her in, isn't she in some Irish TV show or something? I don't know. Okay, so have you ever seen The Last Winter?
no, I've never heard of it.
Ooh, that movie is wild. It is
Ooh.
like set in like a military base in Alaska.
Mm.
It's weird and it's scary.
Ooh.
Very good winter movie. Let's see what else. Well, The Thing. We got, of course, love The Thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know of any maybe scary ski lift movies. There need to be any more at this point. But
Yeah.
yeah, Adam Green. I mean, yeah. So Hatchet one, two, three, maybe a fourth one. I don't remember. And of course, he made the Victor Crowley. Go watch Holliston that he did. This movie is fantastic. I I mean, so then what happens if this happened to you? I mean, we're being hypothetical here. Like you said, you want to see like not a sequel, but she makes the cameo, like I mentioned. But what do you think would happen to someone who survived this? What kind of trauma are we talking about here?
Oh yeah, they have a lot of PTSD. They have a lot of nightmares. The sequel, so she wins a lawsuit against the lodge and she
Oh
writes a
yeah.
book about survival and how she survived this and what's happened since. She goes on a book tour and then the chairlift guy that she bribed, he ends up getting fired from his job, so he comes after her. That's just a
Ooh, I like it. When are we going to shoot this?
I don't
let's,
know. I'm not going near
let's,
a ski resort, so have fun.
you're not going to come with us when we shoot this. You're not going to be on set with us. Come on.
I'll be in the lodge,
You'll be in the
drinking
lodge,
hot
right?
chocolate.
Okay, okay. You can look at the dailies for us, and you can find something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll work.
yeah,
So that's the cool thing too. So they shot this thing in Utah, like at a ski, and they did, and it was 15, 20 degrees. Like they were shooting. I think they put them up in these chairlifts. I mean, I gotta watch all the making of stuff, but I'm pretty sure they did all this stuff, and it was
that's
they
crazy.
had to really recreate this. So them sitting up there in the cold, it was not made up. It was really freezing cold,
I thought
and
maybe they CGI'd it because I was like, how can they just have them
no,
up there? That's crazy.
they are. So that really could you think you could do that as an act? Do you think you could do that if that was what the role required? Could you do like 3 weeks of sitting in cold like that to make a film?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because you're not sitting up there for the entire day. I don't mind the cold. It was just like 2 weeks in New York City of like negative temperatures with the wind chill, and I would go outside in like 19 layers and a hat and gloves, and I would be like, it's not that bad. So.
It's not, I have 12 layers of clothes on. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I would go outside and I would be like, I'm disappointed. I'm waiting to really be hit with something that's very cold. And my boyfriend was like, "You're the worst. Get inside."
All right. So does, oh, well, great. I mean, The Shining, winter movie, right? Of
Yeah.
course. So here's my question about pacing and timing, right? Because it's all happening on a chairlift in one place with three people. There's no other cast, right? We're not in multiple places. So I wonder. I mean, I love The Shining. We all love The Shining, right? Most of us do.
I think it's boring, but
Okay,
go on.
okay. You and Stephen King. There you go. Right. So for me, it's kind of like he goes insane like quickly. It happens very fast. Like there's, the book has more to it. Do you think the pacing of Frozen, the timeline, the terror, the panic, does it all work in time? Is it all believable? Or what? You're making this film. What are you changing? How are you ratcheting up tension? How are you inducing fear? Or do you think everything Adam Green did was spot on? What do you think? Because there's so many
Um,
ways to do a take on this, right?
yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job with the pacing. I'm not a filmmaker. I don't know how to do anything like speed up the pacing. I just would have made them freak out more. Um,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that didn't make sense is they were like, "It's fine. Someone will come for us."
We're stuck in this chairlift. We're fine. Don't worry. Someone will
Yeah.
come soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said from the beginning, immediate panic, right? Like
Hmm.
immediate panic. Like I have to get off this thing like right now. Like the thought of I could be here for days and days and days is, kind of insane. But then again, like I guess I'm trying to think of how if I would have changed anything, right? Would I have changed the pace? I think I would have had that initial. I would have had them go through that initial, just insanity of screaming and yelling and whatever, and probably had them exhaust themselves after that, right? And
Yeah.
then kind of moved into like it's kind of like that quick fear, and then like there's like a moment of like resignation almost, and the stages kind of thing, like acceptance and everything you get into, and you kind of go from there. So that may have been that. I don't know, but would you have changed any endings on it, or do you like how we wrapped it?
Um,
Would you have had her survive? What do you think?
I don't know. I was thinking because I didn't remember if anyone stopped for her at the end or not. And I was thinking like, well, this is like the happier ending, but we could have gone down a really bleak road if she just like passed out and we just saw a car driving by her.
Yeah,
I
pretty
like the way it
much.
ended because I don't, it's bleak enough. She's lost two of her friends, so
It's pretty bad. Yeah, yeah. No, it's pretty bad. Well, I know this is a lot of fun. This movie was a lot of fun. I remember, like I said, I think I watched this. I had a job years ago that I didn't really do much at, so I had plenty of time to kill. And I remember watching, yeah, Netflix and being like, I'm gonna watch this movie called Frozen, and I was hooked. And I remember telling everybody, you got this movie Frozen. It's so crazy, and these people want to chill and they die, and I just thought it was so great. So yeah, survival horror. All right. So here is a question that I ask people. If you like this film, you should watch blank. I guess we kind of talked about that, but if you like this, what should people watch?
I would probably go with Devil's Pass.
Ooh, tell me about Devil's. I'm
Um,
not familiar with Devil's Pass.
Devil's Pass is based on the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Oh,
Um,
in Russia?
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
With people are like, these people disappeared, so let's go make a documentary, I think, about like why they disappeared. Like also dumb, but they're on a mountain, it's cold, so I think that's probably
I like
the
that.
best option for other like there's also the movie No Exit, which is about people stuck at um like a rest stop during like a mass snowstorm.
Okay,
And then
okay.
there's also a movie called Wind Chill, which
I've heard of
is
Wind Chill.
Emily Blunt and somebody else, and she's getting a ride with this guy home for the holidays,
Oh,
and
I've
it's
seen part of this film, I think, but I
yeah,
never finished it. Yes, and they live in New England or Maine or somewhere. Is that?
something like that. I don't
Yeah.
remember the location, but
Okay.
yeah,
Ooh, those are good ones. Okay.
yeah.
Nice. I like that. Good, good, good. All right. So we love Frozen. Um, this is, I should mention something, and this is, I was going to say it at the outset. that we are doing this episode. Like you had pointed out, you had posted about the movie, and okay, we gotta get on the show. So I had done your show months before, talk about my film, and I remember we were talking about how funny it was. This is your small world moment where, because I had been listening to your show, and you had the same guests. You had J.W. Oker on the program. You had Larissa on you had Matt B on the program. You had everybody on. I thought, this is awesome. I obviously have to get her on the show now. And here's our funny moment where we were in the same place and we never even knew it, is we both went to the Blair Witch 25th anniversary screening in Burkittsville a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. I never even knew we were there, right? We never even, there were. How much fun was that, by the way?
So much fun.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, I also went the year before. So.
That's right. There were two of them, right? So yeah, but there wasn't, and there hasn't been one. They didn't do one this year. I mean, 25 was fine by me. Yeah. Do you own that new, was it from Second Sight, that Blair Witch special edition, that the refurbished one? It's like a Region 2 DVD. Do you own that?
No, I don't think my Blu-ray DVD player does other regions.
Neither does mine, and I'm really angry because why the heck did they make this a Europe region DVD? Like, okay, I know. We're not the only country in the world. I understand that, but like, I can't watch it either. Like, I need this in Region 1 DVD. I'm not going to buy a multi-region. I love the Blair Witch Project, but I'm not buying a multi-region DVD player just for that.
Oh, come on. I think it's worth it. Then you can buy all the other movies.
No, I'll sell it back. You know what? I'll pull a Blair Witch. I'll buy it from the store, watch the movie, then I'll return it. I can't return the cameras.
Can you do that anymore? I don't know. I used to get
Sure,
Amazon,
why not? I can return it. I guess I can return it 30 days. I can.
Do you remember The Wall? The music store,
yes,
The Wall?
Yes.
With those little stickers? I used to return so many CDs that I did not buy at The Wall and get replacements.
Wow, I like that. That's a throwback right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our small world moment. Our guests have been the same on the show, and we were in a wonderful event. Didn't even know we were there. So anyway, so Allison, thank you. This is awesome. I've been wanting to talk about Frozen for years, really, a long time. And this is so much fun to do. So tell us where everyone can go and listen to your show and all the cool things that you do.
So you can find my podcast anywhere you stream podcasts, or you can go to who'stherepodcast.com. I'm on all the socials as Who's There PC, and it's WHOS, no E on the end. And yeah, come hang out if you want to be a guest. You just have to be a horror fan. You don't have to be like anyone that's like famous. So
I love her show. It has a great format. I encourage you all to reach out and join and listen and go be on the show. You'll have a great time. All right, wonderful. Thank you guys know, of course, when you want to look for us, come see us at the Scary Movie Project on Instagram. That's where you're going to find me the most, and we'll cascade our posts into the Facebook area. Do you want to ask me and email me about, your experiences being stuck on a chairlift? I don't know. I'd like to hear about it. You can email me, thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. Just go to the website, thescarymovieproject.com. The episodes are there. We're on every platform as well. You know where to find us. You know what to do. So anyway, Allison, awesome. Thank you very much. And till next time, remember, when pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.